of
This is a
lost files
better
completely.
alternative.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Mm.
Okay, hold on. I will be recording. I'm recording. Go.
All right, welcome to the weekly Wednesday mobile meeting. It's been 2 weeks, so it's nice to see you all again. This meeting is to give an update on mobile support activities for Firefox for Android, Firefox OS, also known as B2G. The Etherpad has an update from Naoki for QA in it. Um, there is currently a work week for SMS going on this week.
Or is it MMS? I could.
It says SMS. I don't know.
I thought it was a picture messaging work week, but maybe not.
Oh,
Doesn't
do you think
matter.
maybe that's a typo? Okay.
Doesn't matter because both are extremely silly.
um, and some info around new devices being tested, Leo devices, Inari devices, um, and then the build for Geeks Phone that's a little bit different from um, what we're building. Um, I don't know what
Is
the
it
differences are actually. I don't know
okay?
specifically what they are. Um, Slightly different. I'm just gonna put what is slightly different.
You mean the Keon build? Or the other one? What's the other one?
The Keon or the Peak. Well, it could be, yeah, the Peak is certainly somewhat different from what we've seen on prototype devices since it's got
So
that
really, if you want to
4-inch
get the real
screen.
user experience, you should get the Keon. If you're a developer, you should get the fastest phone possible, which is the Peak.
Yeah, that's true. Um, so there's more testing rounds to start next week, and then some notes on Firefox for Android. Um, about the scrollable address bar being prefed off.
Dynamic URL bar. We have 8 million names for that feature. Yes,
Mm,
it will land in 23.
okay.
Great.
And then Elton and repack changes for 23.
Yes, that is removing the redundant or unnecessary toolkit, Mozilla toolkit strings that only apply to Gecko browsers, and we are not a Gecko front-end browser. Or sorry, Zool browser. We're not a Zool browser. We are a native Java Android UI browser, so we don't need those strings.
Oh, okay.
So I think that it's really hard to follow this, but I think that you remove the toolkit strings that we don't need from Android, and then you can add more locales in the same APK, which means we can support more locales in one APK without going over some arbitrary limit, which is 20 megabytes, which
Yeah.
is better because then we can serve more locales with one APK.
Yay. That's great. I remember when they had to pull them all out. That's
Yeah,
great that they're figuring out. And it's been very controversial how to get them back in and not
yeah,
have a huge APK. So that's great.
yeah. So in 23, we will continue that journey because it's not over. We don't have all the locales we'd like in, but we're getting there.
Well, this is the thing about Firefox for Android that I mean, every 6 weeks there's still really a lot of stuff, great stuff happening every 6 weeks with this software.
Yeah.
A lot of good changes. So
Yeah.
a lot for you to keep up with, Roland.
Well, I'm
um,
learning from Rosanna, Madalena, Michael, everyone in SUMO community, everyone SUMO employee staff on how to manage the community because we all have limited time, right? And my goal is to like get a list of small changes because the small changes are the ones that kill you in the end, right? You fall behind with 5 small changes per release. Next thing you know, it's Christmas and your sixth release is behind. It's 30 changes.
right. Right, and you don't even remember what they were 6 months ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So I would argue that if we could somehow get Brown to design a needs changes on steroids, that would be really what we need, right? Because people do a drive-by, and then we have people like Alice and Fear and and John 99, 356 and John 99, who know what's going on, what has to be changed. They put it in these changes, but then these changes is this long list. For Android, it's only one screen full, but still, it's not actionable. Like, I can't say, all right, I'm going to sign up to do this, right? It would be cool if we could
Oh,
somehow do
the
that.
sign up part. Yep, that's true.
Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, not Bugzilla, but like, I'm going to fix this article and make these changes that people have suggested. The
Yeah.
easiest thing in the world is to do a needs changes thing on an article, as we'll find out with Firefox or OS 2. The hardest thing, though, is to actually do those changes.
Exactly. It's actually doing them that's the hard part. It's true.
Right.
Um,
And if we had this hypothetical Braum design system that would remind us, hey, you signed up for that a week ago. Are you going to do it? Are you going to do it?
oh yeah, right. The
I
Cape
don't, you
Butler,
know,
the
Yep,
Rosanna's
Casey
Cape
Butler,
Butler,
yes.
where it's like he reminds you to go and do your support stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's something we could build into the system. I think just a simple notification system to remind people. Um,
Now that we have HTML,
totally.
yep, yep,
It's, I mean, and I'm sure other volunteer organizations have similar things, similar needs where you want to allow people to sign up for things and people are also all volunteering. So oftentimes life is going to get in the way and they want to be able to give that thing back that they started.
yep. Yeah, so a nice HTML neg email that gives them the option to say, hey man, unassign me. Because in Bugzilla, there's no guilt in the development community. There's no guilt in unassigning.
Yeah.
So right, so someone assigns it to you, or you assign it to yourself, a KB task, and then the KB butler would have a nice link in the nice HTML email to say, hey man, I'm sorry, I have no time to do this. Unassign it.
Right.
Did we ever do a KB butler? Because it seems to me like we had some prototypes, but I could be just hallucinating. Did we ever have a vision or even a Etherpad about how this might work out in our standard format?
I don't think so. I could be wrong because the last work that I did on the contributor tools were sort of focused on translation, I believe, and localization, but KB Butler has never sort of entered into the equation. Um, I guess what most, I guess what nonprofits, like big nonprofits do is they probably have some sort of like, like a CRM software populated by their volunteers rather than customers, where they would remind people, right? It's like, oh, so and so hasn't logged in for 2 weeks, so you should probably send an email, right? And then it would like rank people based on activity and all of that. So um, yeah, I don't think we can build that tool, but I think we can implement something sort of similar where if people sign up and if they're not active, um, we'll send them a little whatever, and if they say no, we won't send them again. But if that makes them active, then that's cool. Um, and to your point about like making updates to article that needs changes, that's a very clear need, and that's a very specific thing, right? It's not just like, oh, you signed up, so why don't we go and help out? But this is like
No, I don't want
about,
that. That's too vague.
exactly,
You signed
exactly.
up for
But
a
this
change.
one is about, yeah, but this one is about, hey, this article actually needs help, right? And it's actually a specific article that needs to be updated every 6 weeks or something, you know? So I think that'd be cool, you know? So for example, like, for like certain articles, because we know that we're on like 6 weeks release cycle, right? So articles needs to be updated roughly every 6 weeks. So I think it is worth it to investigate whether sort of sending contributors who wants to be reminded, a reminder to update the release notes, for example, every 6 weeks or something, right? Or update the whatever document, but just a select number of articles and not all of them.
I was thinking the top 10 by views. But
Yeah, you
okay.
could do that. Yeah. You could do that
Yeah.
as well. I mean, people let me know. It's like articles that I care about. I care when it needs updating, right? So I think we have a proto sort of features like that, but it doesn't send you a message, of course, right? It just like lets you know if it's in your watch list, if it gets changed, it'll let you know, but it doesn't let you know if it needs help, right? It lets you know if like, oh, Verdi edited it. So because I care about, because it's in my watch list, I know, but whenever it's flagged as need help, I don't think I'm notified. So it could be like a very simple behavior change, like I think.
So it's like the
Like,
wiki, make your watch list for specific articles needs changes. If with
yeah,
these changes you don't sign up for, you sign up for articles and say, I'm interested in being notified when these articles have a needs changes modification. And
that's
then I
right.
get an email, and then I can like assign it to myself, maybe at that point. And then that email also allows me to unsubscribe from learning about new needs changes modifications. How about I started Etherpad in our standard SUMO format, discuss with Michael, Michelle, and whoever else is interested, and at least then we have it on an Etherpad. We may not have resources to do it because we're working on L10N and Firefox OS, but then at least we have it somewhere. Or maybe Michael
Okay.
knows about a KB Butler exist type document already that we can update.
It probably exists at some point in the past.
Yeah, give me a. I'll talk to Kadir, Michael, and Michelle. Give me a action item. Because having done this exercise of, or I will continue to do this exercise of finding simple edits. It's not so simple to find all the simple edits because not everything is in needs changes. I believe needs changes is currently our master list and should remain our master list, but there's no way to sign up to actually do the needs.
Sign up for needs changes.
To
That's right.
monitor needs changes. Okay.
Okay, you have an AI. I put it in the anything else section. Um, okay, so let's see. Firefox OS. We got our first Geeks Phone user question on the forum this morning. So exciting.
Interesting.
It's a UX question. Check it out. It's in the Etherpad. And so that means the keyons are shipping. So,
Where was this user? Any idea what country the user was in?
um, great question. No, I don't know.
And
But
what language was it in? English?
yes,
It wasn't
English.
wasn't in Spanish or Polish or
Nope.
that would be Polish. It would be Spanish or some European non. It's a
Yeah,
Latin
Brazilian
language.
Portuguese maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we should be looking at, has anyone gone and looked at the Geeks Phone um, forums? Or
Nope.
seen anything on Mozilla Hispano? Okay,
Ralph, you need a dashboard for all these forums.
right.
Or you need an HTML email every morning saying, Ralph, look at this activity.
Yeah.
Please click here.
Forum
Start your
Butler.
Yes, use the forum butler.
So anyways, they're shipping. We will get our allotment soon, very soon. I know everyone is eagerly awaiting the phones that I've promised, and I'm starting to get messages from people saying that they're coming. We're starting to get some for our group. I've asked in a million different places and filed a bunch of service requests for phones, and so they should be coming soon. I've filed 4 requests for Andrew, Noah, Yusuf, and Mikal for all of their help on Firefox OS help articles.
Miguel is underpass in Italy. Is that right? I don't know. I can never remember who's who.
No, Mikal is he
Polish.
has, yeah, he's localizing into Polish.
Yay. Okay, good.
So
Yeah, let's get.
um,
So the devices are going to come to Mountain View or San Francisco, and then you're going to ship them out, or somebody there is going to ship them to
hopefully
Europe.
that's not what I have to do, but if that's what I have to do, that's what I will do.
No, I didn't use that. Head shipping. Okay.
Yeah, I suck at shipping, especially international shipping. Not my
Or
strong
maybe
suit.
they'll get shipped to London, and from London it would be easier to go to Poland and all places.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
uh, so I saw a draft of Alcatel's user guide that they created that's a derivative work of the user guide that all of our contributors have worked on. It's awesome. It's like half the size, so it's a little more focused. Um, But in general, it's organized in a very similar kind of a way that we're organizing our content, and shows off a lot of the great work of our contributors to Firefox OS
I read that with
articles.
amazement. Is there any way we can get the editors of that document or the writers of that document to participate in our KB? Because they look pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's a good question. I can ask. I doubt it,
Yeah,
but
pretty
I
fun.
think ultimately you're exactly right. Is we really want our partners to come and contribute on Sumo with us.
We just like make them commit to 1 KB edit per week
All right.
per employee.
It includes a lot of troubleshooting information too that sort of I think is like the tip of the iceberg of the kind of questions that we'll get for mobile phone. And so we'll start to post some of that out as well, um, and probably try to get some of that back into our KB. So that in itself is a contribution back to us. Um,
Hmm. So that's a hard
but
task. Somebody's gonna have to scan that awesome Alcatel document and then figure out where updates should go into the KB. Is
yeah,
that what you?
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Once
Ralph, do that in his sleep, right? After he does his morning forum butler work.
right.
I'm
No, I
just
mean,
kidding.
I'll certainly um, start picking stuff up from there and putting it into our knowledge base. Because a lot of those basics, just like, cell phone types of questions, of course, we don't have any baseline for that on our forums, in our KB, but it's something Alcatel knows well, right? Um, so I'll start putting out stub articles for stuff like that, or maybe just add that to our fix problems article that has a million little sections in it already.
Yeah.
Um, like stuff like, if you can't make calls, check to see if your SIM is like broken in half. Like I never would think to like have that documented, but
Yeah.
maybe they dropped their phone and that SIM shattered. Like, but I would never
Yeah,
know that
that
that's a
happens. And,
common thing
they
that
probably have
happens.
boilerplate from their hundreds of phones that they've
Yeah,
documented and released.
yeah,
So they can just drop that in there.
yeah. They're also, it looks like they're going to have a help app on the phone too, an Alcatel help app. So that's really cool. Good news
Is
for
it going to be
users
open
too.
source or
Uh,
a web app?
don't know. Don't know. But I can ask that question. That's a good question too.
Yeah, because maybe if they can't open source all the content, maybe they can open source for the the web app, the server part, and then we
Yeah,
just fill it in with our content.
contribute it back. Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth a shot.
Um,
Oh,
yeah,
but
let's see. Those are two good questions.
So I didn't get this part. Is the content already open source for us? No, it's
our
copyright.
content is open source. What's our license for our content? I don't know.
What was your question, Ralph?
If the Alcatel manual was open source for us, or if it's still copyrighted.
No, it isn't open source. I just saw a draft of it.
Okay.
So, our stuff is Creative Commons,
Hmm.
share alike. Um, so they're free to take it and modify it, and then it, that the derivative work should be licensed in a similar fashion, I believe, is how it goes.
I'll let you sort that out with the lawyers, but if we have an informal agreement to be able to cut and paste non-proprietary snippets back into our KB, it would be great. And also, it
Yep.
would be great, like if I just said, if we could, if they're gonna do a web app for support, if we could use some of that code, if not all of it, if not the content. Yeah.
Great questions. Thank you. Okay, so I wanted to also, of course, recognize localizers for making great progress on localizing 5 articles a week for Firefox OS. We little by little we'll get there. So we're doing 5 a week through the end of the quarter, and Rosanna has asked maybe sometimes we could do 10 a week to make sure that we have everything ready for L10N by a little bit before the end of the quarter to make sure we can achieve that goal. Um, so I'll certainly consider doing that. But thanks to everyone for your hard work on Spanish and Polish and Brazilian Portuguese, Ralph, your team, everyone at Mozilla Hispano, and all of our Polish localizers. You guys are awesome. And I have been asking everyone about what the heck Polish UI. There's no Polish UI in the simulator. I don't know if our Polish contributors have devices with Polski UI. And so I filed a bug to get it into the simulator today. I should put that in here. Let's see. Here it is. um, and if all else fails, the Unagi devices have Polish UI, and so we can take screenshots off those and upload them into the gallery for their use. And oh, and this is more of a general thing. I know that Mozilla is sponsoring the Open Help Conference. I think it's in like Ohio or Boston or something, but if there's anyone out there contributing to our KB or contributing to SUMO who is in that region and wants to go, we can get you a free pass. So let us know. Other
Ohio
updates on
sounds great, but maybe it's not in
what?
Ohio this year. I think it might have been Ohio last year. I'll
What?
look it up. Ohio?
Oh, I
It
don't
was in
know.
Ohio last year, but
Oh,
maybe they the location this year. I don't know. I'll check it
oh.
out and update the Etherpad.
Are there other updates on Firefox OS, Ralph? Do you want to share anything from this week going on?
No, don't have any specific updates either.
Okay.
And I actually have some update on that question that the user asked because it's a very curious problem. So it's a scaling issue, and it only happens because he or she is using the peak, and
Oh
the
wow.
He said
resolution
it,
of
he
the
didn't
screen.
say, he said it was the key on.
Yeah, but the resolution of the screen is not sort of Keon's resolution, right? The resolution is 540 by 960. And the Keon, I believe, has 320 by 480. Um,
Which is the same as the Unagi, right? 320
that's
before.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Michelle and
yes,
Alpha.
so I tend to believe that it's a peak related problem, and that the conversion, and basically we have like two sort of user interfaces, right? We have like the one that's optimized for 320 by 480, and then like the high res one. And then on the high res one, some apps are not, the UI is not flexible yet. And so on applications, including our own marketplace, what you see is basically the bar that's being optimized for 320 by 480. So if you open that on 320 by 480, it's all right. And the content scales all right, but the bar doesn't scale.
Oh, yeah. See, I didn't look at the screenshots. I'm glad he posted screenshots because I just read the message and him saying that it was a key on.
Yeah, me too. I
But
also
yeah,
read
I've
that
seen
it's
this on the peak too. So, yep, you're right. Do you want to answer that question? I like your answer. It's a scaling issue. It's true.
yeah,
We have,
I answered.
um, and we are definitely, this is definitely a work in progress, but since you're working on the UX for Marketplace, that would be great if you could answer that one.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, see, even the data image there is tiny, tiny little data image. That
This
data
is why
indicator
design is
is
hard.
really small. Yeah, it is hard.
Yeah. UX is
Okay,
hard, design is hard, IA is hard.
thanks.
But doable. You just gotta keep going at it.
Yeah, Roland, do you want to give your update for Firefox for Android?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna add to Etherpad, but I can't because I'm recording now. I'd like to thank Adam Peebles, and I can't remember who was it. 356? Was it Underpass? Was it two simple edits? And people did it. So I'm going to start asking on a regular basis for simple edits. I've I've created a new Etherpad called Android Firefox Android KB changes or something like that. It's an Etherpad where I'm going to list all the changes because and it's going to be hand maintained copy of the needs changes plus plus plus. Um, so yes, so tomorrow is Firefox Articles Day. So if I've got 4 more edits, maybe some more tonight that people could do, simple ones, and I've got a complicated list which comes from the rest of the needs changes. I'll do some. My goal is like answering forum questions to do a specific number per week, maybe 2, 3, 5 a week myself, and then get the community to do the rest, and then we will sail off into the 100% up-to-date KB sunset for 1 hour.
For 1 hour. Now, you said you ask for the small edits. Was that in your announcement to the mobile team?
It was an announcement which was pointing to a thread. So I'm going to do weekly announcements. So I didn't do it
Okay.
last week. I'm going to do weekly announcements, which will point to SUMO contributor forum KB threads. Because the announcements are one-way broadcasts, so you need
Yeah.
to have a thread where people can discuss it. And then the article, and it's KB articles, just like a technical writing program, except it's for paper cuts and smaller things. You can sign up and then cross it off when you're done, and we'll see how this works. I believe
Cool.
it will work. And
Well, it already is, it sounds like.
yeah, well, we did 2, but we should be if we can do like 5 a week, we can eventually finish everything. So Firefox 20 is looking good. Yay! Thank you for answering support questions, Tyler and Kevin Brosnan and everyone else who's answering support questions. Firefox 21, there was nothing to document because there was no user-facing changes. Firefox 22, I'm still unclear as to whether reflow on Zoom is going to land in Firefox 22. My guess is it won't. But even if it does, I'm not sure what we have to document. There's also Android not responding reporter, which we may have to change the screenshot. And dynamic toolbar, as I said earlier, was pushed to Firefox 23. So we won't have much, if anything, to document Firefox 22 as well. But that gives us time to do all these small changes that we haven't done. Because we ran out of time, because we have less people, all that stuff, all the good stuff. So that will be good. And in 23 and 24 is when all the big changes land. So this is kind of typical for Mozilla. Some releases every 6 weeks are big and some aren't. And we're lucky that 21, 22 appear to be not so big. So we can fix the little things that have been lingering.
Yeah, just catch up on stuff.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Okay. And let's see, anything else? Andrew added the share article template to all the Firefox OS articles. That's awesome. So we should go in and spot check and make sure that they actually link to, that the short links properly land in the articles.
Oh yeah, and late breaking news on the 29th and 30th. Swarnola filed a bug, or somebody filed a bug, and William Reynolds changed it so that anyone can use the bug. Any URL on support.mozilla.org or any of the Mozilla properties, if you shorten it with bit.ly, you will now get the mz.la automatically, and you don't need to ask, you don't need to be a member of bit.ly, you don't need to be approved by Michael or anybody else. It should just work, which is a good thing.
Great.
So all of us in this call can now shorten the URLs. You don't have to leave the Swarnova, although that was great. That's when I did it. And that bug was just fixed yesterday, the day before.
Great. All right. If there's nothing else, then let's keep our eyes peeled on the forums and social channels, of course, and all the other places where people might show up to talk about the Keons and the peaks. And I mean, I haven't read any press today, but we'll be reviewing, what people are saying in the press also, and updating our KB articles and strategies based on what we hear from users as they come online with the new phones. And we'll see you all tomorrow at the Help Article Day to help with Firefox for Android articles and Firefox OS articles. And we'll plan to be here again next week at 3
Yeah.
p.m.
Okay.
And we may finally start moving. Our house is almost ready. So I think that's going to be happening next week. So if I need someone else to handle this meeting, I might request that, but I won't know until it's like sort of Monday.
Flip a three-sided coin, and one of Ralph, Brom, or myself can run the meeting.
Okay.
I like the randomness of flipping a coin.
Yeah. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great day.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.